In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the midpoint formula. Remember, we talked about graphing points on the coordinate plane. Uh, Today, we're going to take a look at two ordered pairs. So let's just make up a set of ordered pairs here. Let's call this x1, comma y1, and x2, comma y2. Okay, I'm just basically going to build the formula. You take any two sets of points, there is a midpoint. Midpoint is basically cutting the distance in half between 2 points. Or if we drew a line through those those 2 points, connecting them, creating a line segment, we could find the halfway point of that line segment. Basically, all we got to do is we're trying to create another ordered pair. So in order to do that, what we'll have is this. To create a new x coordinate for our midpoint, and I'm going to kind of do this, midpoint, we got to take the two x coordinates that we already have and divide them by 2. Okay? I'm going to put a big parenthesis here. And then same thing with our y coordinate. We're going to create a new y coordinate. So you just take your two y coordinates that we got and divide it by 2. Okay? So let's look at an example here. I'm going to get onto a xy axis here and change some colors up a little bit. So here's my x and here's my y axis. Let's say we got a point 4, 2, and I'm going to throw in some negative signs. Negative 3, negative 1. We'll call this point A and this point B. And here's our line segment. Okay? Alright, so point A, I'm going to write the ordered pair for point A. It's 4, comma 2. And then for point B, I'm going to write negative 3, negative 1. Alright? So this is point A, this is point B. I want to make sure everything's labeled. As long as you name them and identify what the points are, it's not going to matter what order you're going to do this in. Okay? I could show you, but I'd just be wasting your time in the video. So let's get right to it here. Very first thing, label your points. x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay? And remember, we already talked about the midpoint formula. Okay, let's find that x coordinate. Oops. My x coordinates are 4 and negative 3. Alright, well, if I look at my formula, x1 plus x2 divided by 2, let's take our x1 plus our x2 and divide that by 2. Now, when I punch it in on the calculator, what I want to punch in first is this top part, 4 plus negative 3. 4 plus negative 3 gives me 1. And I'm going to divide that by 2. Now, 1 divided by 2 gives me 0.5. It's a half. You can leave it alone in fraction form. So I'm going to write midpoint, MP for midpoint. You can write it as a decimal or leave it as a fraction. I'm fine with either one. Now let's find our y coordinate, our new y coordinate for our midpoint. Okay, let's take our y1, which is 2, plus our y2, which is negative 1. Gosh, guys, I didn't mean to do this, but it is what it is. Let's take care of the top part. 2 plus negative 1. Well, that's 1. Divide that by 2. Well, I got 1/2 again. Sometimes that happens when you're finding midpoint. When you really look at it, it does make sense. Because if I plotted that point, it'd be right in there somewhere. So I kind of missed it a little bit. Now you can divide this and take it to decimal form. It does not matter. Okay?